We got Dave and we got Will. And today, guys, we are drafting every player that is currently averaging 25 points per game or better through the first week-ish of the
Three
NBA
games.
season. Yeah, two or
Three
three
games.
games. Yeah. It's a total of 12 players on this big board today, guys, which means you guys get to fill out one starting lineup and then one sixth man. And the way we're going to play this game today is it's not necessarily about how this team performs in the regular season or in an 82 game season. Let's just see which team will beat the other team in a one-on-one single game elimination game. Cool. That being said, guys, we usually have a trivia question to decide who goes first. And Will, since you
Oh,
are
I'm
the
excited for
guest,
this.
since
Oh,
you
I'm
are the guest,
excited.
Will, I will give you the first guess at this trivia question. Who is currently averaging the most points per game this season?
Zach LaVine?
That is incorrect. Dave, do you know who it is?
Yeah, De'Aaron Fox, right?
You are also incorrect.
What?
Oh, both of us incorrect.
Is he not? Oh, hang on. Now, I got to say, isn't he leading in total points?
He is.
I'm a
played three
total
games,
points
right?
guy, not a points per game guy. So
Oh,
when
here we
I'm
go.
looking,
Here we
you know,
go.
Will, I'm glad I got to squeeze this in here because I make the argument every year when we talk about the scoring title. The point
Yes.
is to get more points, actual points on the board. And as far as I'm concerned, think about it. What if it was home runs per game? That would be awful. We would not care. The NBA is the only league that does this, and I think it's because players will sometimes say, I miss a bunch of games. Total points is what matters to me.
I don't know
So
about you. I judge my quarterbacks by touchdowns per game. I don't know about you, Dave. So.
total touchdowns, though, right? Not per game. But to my point, I'm wrong here, I guess, because I did look at total points, and I believe he's got 94 points total in his 3 games. So
The correct answer I was looking from you guys is Luka Doncic.
Luka Doncic, yeah.
Luka Doncic.
Oh.
But
Man,
good thing for both of you guys is that isn't actually the trivia question today. The trivia question is
Oh, wow. Okay.
how many points per game is Luka Doncic averaging through 2 games this season? Will, you can take the first guess. If you get it correct,
yeah,
we might as well give him everyone, like take everyone on the board.
Yeah.
But I don't think you will.
Exactly. I'm going to guess 34.1 points per game.
34.41. That is incorrect. Now, Dave, if you get closer to that number than Will, you get to keep the first pick of the draft.
Okay. Well, I know he had the 49-point game. And I'm trying to think of what he did against the Spurs opening night. Well, opening night for the Mavericks. I feel like it was like 32. So, 51, 81. Is he averaging 40 points a game?
Dave, you get the first pick of the draft. He's averaging 41. 41 points per game.
Oh, my God. Okay, I was way off. I'm off to a rough start here.
But that being said, Dave, you get the first pick of the draft. Who would you like with the first pick?
All right. I'm assuming we also not only do we want them to score, but we're trying to field a good basketball team.
Yeah, you're trying to make the best team.
Just based on I'm going to take a wild guess.
I'm gonna say, hey, shout out to DNVR, my guys with that do all the Denver sports coverage for the great Sombo Shuffle shirt. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Nikola Jokic. He is literally a walking triple double, an excellent defender, and the best player on earth. Maybe should be a 3-time reigning MVP. I mean, this is like a no-brainer, Will.
Yeah, no doubt. Jokic has got the crown. He's the number 1 guy in the league. He's holding the belt. Reigning finals.
I think the 11th pick is going to be way worse than the first pick, like as far as difficulty.
Yeah, I can tell you, I have my guy who no doubt is going to be my last pick. I don't know if he's the same last pick you have on your list. But yeah, I mean, as far as Jokic goes, I mean, the guy has been incredible this year. It feels like every year I'm like, okay, is he going to start slowing down? At some point, is it going to tail off a little bit? And it's like, if you watch that OKC game, he was barely awake and he had like 28, 15, 7 assists. Like they destroyed OKC. Like it was just the most relaxed dominance you will ever see
in NBA history. That 3/4 court inbound alley-oop to Aaron Gordon. got missed by the camera. Okay, now remember, this guy got drafted during a Taco Bell commercial, and he threw the greatest pass in NBA history during a replay. There is no more under the radar guy, and he's just been killing people for years now. I mean, again, he's working on what should be his 4th straight MVP season, if the first 3 games are any indication.
And he told Chet after they beat OKC that he needs to get a little bit fatter. That's the key for Chet.
Hey, man.
To take the next step in his career. Listen, you guys want to get abs. Guys want to get in the best shape of their life. Jokic's like, nah, what you got to do is put on some pounds. So I respect that in the superstar. But man, you said it. Jokic is the no doubt number 1. But to continue the draft, if I had the number 1, I wouldn't have taken Jokic. So you would have had him regardless. And if I can just go ahead to my number 2 overall pick, the guy who I would have taken, the guy who I took for my MVP this year, Jayson Tatum, obviously I think the best player in the Eastern Conference this year. I think Giannis obviously is still overall better, more accomplished, but I think Tatum is going to take that step this year. I really believe he's going to have an outstanding season. And just watching that Boston team with Jrue Holiday, with Kristaps Porzingis, man, they're just so much more potent. Like, we thought they were really great these past couple of years, but having those 2 guys in that lineup, not just what they bring defensively, because you have Jrue on ball, you have KP protecting the rim, but just the way they're able to spread teams out on offense with KP as that stretch 5, Jrue as a guy who can make plays off the dribble, along with Derek White. I think that Boston team is extremely dangerous. I like Tatum to win MVP, and at this point, I still like Boston as my eventual champion, just because of what they have with that starting 5, and then you lop in Al Horford coming off the bench and the way he can change the dynamic. I just think they're extremely dangerous, and the head of the snake is Tatum, and just what he can do inside, outside, the size, the touch. Just an incredible young player.
I like the Tatum MVP pick because he has an opportunity to be best player on the best team in the East. And if you can do that, like if you're in that top 2 seed and you're the best player, I think will be up 28, 30 points a game, even with all the firepower out there with him. Like, it should theoretically get easier. And maybe some of his shooting inconsistencies, these slumps that he runs into here and there, maybe they're mitigated a bit because he's got other weapons out there. The Porzingis addition, I'll tell you what, man, I see it most on the defense. Porzingis and Tatum were doing a trap at like half court the other day. And I mean, just think about that. Tatum's 6'8", 6'9", Porzingis 7'2", and you got these guys trapping. And that's the thing I think that gets lost with Tatum. We think about him as this offensive guy, think about him scoring. We know Drew Hanlen's moves by heart. But it's the defensive end for Jayson Tatum. Like, he is an all NBA level defender. I mean, I think even with Rob Williams on that team, he was probably their best defender when they went on that finals run, not a title run. But I think that gets lost. And I mean, you have a guy that can play at that level both ways. I mean, MVP feels pretty good this year too.
And the thing that's even scarier with them, when I watch them, it feels like Jrue still doesn't really know his place quite yet. And we know how talented Jrue is. And I think people sleep on how much he's just going to make everybody around that better, because Jrue wants to get everybody else involved. So he's going to create those shots for KP, create those shots for Jaylen Brown. We know how much Tatum and Brown love the scoring transition. So they're really good right now. And I think they're going to get better as those guys figure out how to play together, how the pieces fit. They probably need to add 1 or 2 or more guys on that bench just to give them a little bit more trustworthy depth. But when you look at that top 6, I don't think there's anybody else that can match it. And it starts with Tatum. And I think he can have a season where he rolls up, over 30 points a game, maybe ups his rebound, maybe the assists go down a little bit, but he's just a little bit more efficient in everything he does. And that's what you want to see with Tatum. Eliminate some of those step back threes, those early jumpers in the shot clock. And I think having a guy like Jrue Holiday around will help him, make the game a little easier on himself.
Yeah, I honestly, I think it's a great pick for me, because you left the greatest player of all time on the board. I'm going to take Steph Curry number 2. And already I think I've won this exercise because I have Steph Curry and Nikola Jokic on the board at the same time. Could you imagine? Will, think about this. Now, we'll unfortunately never get to see this happen. Actually, maybe the All-Star game. Maybe they'll start the All-Star game together since we're going back to the East-West format. But Nikola Jokic with Steph Curry running off screens and playing pick and roll. I mean, imagine inverted pick and roll where Steph Curry sets a screen for Nikola Jokic. Yeah, that offensively unstoppable. That's a 130, 140 offensive rating very easily. Yeah, I can't believe you left Steph on the board. Unbelievable.
Listen, Steph, just reviewing the tape, Steph's pretty good at basketball. I can't deny that. The guy had 40 against Sacramento. Nobody hates the beam more than Stephen Curry, and Sacramento. That dude kills the Kings every time he sees them. But yeah, I mean, Steph's great. I'm still kind of feeling out how I feel about the Chris Paul addition to Golden State. I haven't seen him as much with Draymond and Chris Paul. I get to see that tonight in New Orleans, conveniently. So yeah, obviously Steph's great. I'm still a little skeptical about the Chris Paul fit in Golden State. I think they're a little small. I think they got a whole lot of dudes who want to pass the ball, not as many guys who want to score. But when you got Steph, I mean, they're always going to be a threat. Steph's the most, I think he's the scariest guy in the league for anybody, just because of the way he can tear apart your defense, and he can turn your home crowd into his crowd just when he starts going. And I think the Pels are kind of scared they're going to happen to them tonight. But yeah, I mean, Steph's the man. You put him and Jokic together in a pick and roll, is terrifying.
Unstoppable. It's unstoppable.
I don't know if you're going to get any stops. I don't know if you care about that.
I disagree. I disagree. Steph Curry is a great point of attack defender, and Nikola Jokic is an above average big man defender. Just won a title.
Good. So Jokic is a good positional defender, but I think with my second pick, what I'd like to do is bring us to the current NBA, where you're more point guard, center, 90s basketball. I'm over here. Give me all the wings. Give me positionless basketball, and I'm going to take Kevin Durant and Jayson Tatum and just eat up all the space on the perimeter, just arms and three-pointers all over the place. I don't know how you can defend Kevin Durant and Jayson Tatum. One thing is that these guys could have been teammates if the Boston Celtics were a little bit more open to trading Jaylen Brown for Kevin Durant last year. But yeah, I think those two guys together, watching KD against the Lakers, even though they ended up losing that game, that third quarter, that was just like basketball art right there. Just with that dude getting into the mid-range, just hitting shots over everybody. When KD gets going, I mean, he's one of the most fun guys to watch in the league, just because he's just so smooth getting to his shot, and it doesn't matter who you put on him, he can figure out what he wants to do. But yeah, I think he's really dangerous, and we lost Dave.
I think you made him quit the draft with that pick, Will.
Listen, man, when you get KD and Tatum, most guys run away. I understand.
Well, I personally think, Will, you lost the draft after 2 picks. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow.
I think that Jayson Tatum pick was horrible for you.
Oh, horrible.
Yeah, I don't think you allow someone to get Jokic and Curry with their first 2 picks of the draft.
Listen, man, the league is about wings now, man. That's what it is. You got to have some great wings, and I feel like I got 2 of the best in Tatum and KD. Those guys are buckets, and we're gonna play a little bit of defense. Curry and Jokic, those guys aren't getting any stops, especially not against Tatum and KD.
I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see what Dave has planned. He says his internet went out.
Yeah, that's what they all say, Dave. That's what they all say.
So we'll wait for him to come back. you made him quit.
Oh man, that's crazy. Listen, if you want to go ahead and take over for Dave's pick here,
you know what? Should I pick for Dave? I'll give him a pick. You know what?
It's like the NFL draft when you're not there to make your pick, the next team steps up. So now I think it's on you to take over.
Should I absolutely throw this game for Dave?
Yeah, just give him the worst pick possible. I think that's the best. That's what I want, obviously, as the guy who's competing against Dave in this exercise.
You know what? I will pick who I think Dave would pick, because I'm pretty sure I know who Dave would take with his next pick.
That's interesting. I would love to hear.
Knowing Dave, I think he's taking Joel Embiid. So I will take Joel Embiid for Dave with the 3rd pick of the draft.
So Embiid and Jokic on the same team.
You see, the thing about Dave, I don't know if you know Dave well, but Dave loves beefy centers. beefy center. He loves them. He loves beefy players on every position, which is, I don't know. It speaks to the character, the type of man that Dave is. And Dave has a real big fascination for Joel Embiid. So I think he likes pairing these two down in the post. Because also, if he takes Joel Embiid, you're not left with many big men left on the board, man. And so that's why, that's why I think he would take Joel.
See, the thing is, I wasn't factoring positions into this. So when you hit me with maybe we need to make this a real starting five, I may need to reconsider some of the things I'm doing, but I'm fine because I like you taking Embiid here because what we need to start pushing in 23-24 is to squash the Embiid versus Jokic beef. We need the nerds versus the real basketball watchers to put all of their differences aside. Both guys got their MVPs. We both agree these two guys are great at basketball. We don't need to bring all of that baggage back from these past couple of years. So I like you kind of uniting the two sides here, bringing Embiid and Jokic together. Again, I don't know if y'all guarding anybody over there on that squad, but I like the intentions here of squashing the beef. And we want Embiid and Jokic to be together rather than constantly arguing over whose PER is better and other nonsense like that.
Well, that being said, Will, who would you like with the third pick of your draft?
Oh man, not with Embiid gone, because that was definitely the guy I had next on my list. I think I think I have to go with the guy who was the star of your trivia question, Luka Doncic, the leading scorer in the NBA. I learned about 10 minutes ago. One of the most unstoppable guys with the ball in his hands, can do whatever he wants basically on the court, can score in the post, scoring from the perimeter. You double team him, he kills you. You let him shoot threes, he kills you. I think what was interesting about him this year is he's come in a little better shape, playing overseas in the World Cup. So I think he's coming in with a different mindset. Physically, he's in a different place. Him and Kyrie got a full training camp together. So I think they're figuring out some of their things. They got this new young guy, Derek Lively, catching lobs at center, which is another interesting element to add to them. So yeah, I think with Luka, KD, and Jayson Tatum, I don't know how anybody is going to guard this team. It's Luka going downhill, and I got 3-point shooters all over the place. I'm feeling great. Like I said, y'all are playing 1990s basketball over there with all multiple centers and a point guard. So shout out to me for winning this exercise through 6 picks.
Well, I got a quick question for you though. You got Tatum, Durant, and Doncic. Who's passing the ball?
Last time I checked, Luka's a triple-double threat every night. KD is very unselfish, so we're past the ball just fine. We're playing fast, so all of those guys will get their shots. At the end of the fourth quarter, we'll figure it out. It might be a little friction there between KD and Luka, but yeah, they'll be fine. We got to figure out the center position here pretty soon because I don't know who's guarding Jokic or Embiid on this squad. But listen, we'll figure that out as we go.
You know what? That being said, Will, I think. Oh, here he comes. Here he comes.
Here he is.
Let's see what he thinks about the pick that I got.
All right. Yes. Sorry about that, guys.
A quick recap.
Internet outage.
Dave, we handled the draft in a very unique way where I got the pick for your team.
You finished?
No, we're not done. We're not done.
No.
But while you were gone, Dave, who would you have taken with your third pick?
Who was the next?
So,
who was the
at that
pick?
point, it was Tatum, Jokic, KD, and Steph were off the board.
You took KD. Okay, so you took Kevin Durant. Well, then I'd have to go Luka Doncic.
What?
Oh,
what? Wait, Dave, I was so sure I knew who you were gonna take.
Who'd you have?
I took Joel Embiid for you.
Because you know what it is? You've realized that I like two centers playing together.
Yeah.
I love the Twin Towers. Yeah, and here, if I can make the argument for the pick because you've got two dominant post players who can both stretch the floor and pass. Now, Jokic obviously is a far superior passer to Joel Embiid. But they could play off each other defensively. Obviously, it makes a lot of sense. Jokic likes to play out on the ball a little bit more, so you could have Embiid more in a drop. It would work.
Well,
but I think you take Luka Doncic because it gives you another guy who can do guard stuff.
It's too late, Dave. You already got Joel Embiid.
That's okay.
And I took Luka. So shout out to me and my squad. I'm feeling great with Luka, KD, and Tatum over here. I don't know how you're gonna divvy up those defensive minutes between Embiid and Jokic with Tatum.
What's beautiful is I have 48 minutes of MVP level center play, no matter what. No matter what.
And MVP play at the point guard as well.
That's right.
That being said, Dave, you have the next pick. You currently have Jokic, Curry, and Embiid. You can take AD off the board and leave Will with absolutely zero big men.
Thing is, even if he takes AD, he has absolutely zero big men because AD cannot hang with Embiid and Jokic. I'm sorry, just not built different, buddy. I need a wing, and I need a guy who can play some defense on the wing, shoot threes, can still create off the dribble, can run pick and roll with both of my bigs. PG-13, my man. On this team, he could even be maybe MVPG level play because the game would be extremely easy for him. He would be a 3-and-D wing who could create in a pinch. It would be the easiest job he's probably ever had in the NBA. Imagine him coming off some pin downs like Klay Thompson, but Steph Curry's out there throwing him a pass. I mean, it's wide open shots, high volume 3-point shooting above 40%. I mean, this guy has been one of the best shooters in the last 10 years. He would thrive with these guys. I mean, it's kind of a dominant squad I got here, Will.
I can't lie. The draft so far has gone 1 through 6. The guys I had in order so far, not necessarily order, but the guys I had 1 through 6. So yeah, we're right on the same page. PG, I think is a great pick. You needed somebody to play defense on that squad. So finally you drafted someone. PG, maybe he can guard 2 people at once. I don't know. But yeah, I think he fits in really well with that squad. The first non-MVP for you. I don't think we have any more MVPs left. That would have been great if you had 5 MVPs in your starting lineup. But yeah, I think PG is a great fit. I think he's playing really well with the Clips so far. I think it'll be super interesting to see what life looks like with him if he plays with James Harden at some point this year. But that's another day and another time. But yeah, I think he fits really well with the passing. He's going to play with next to Steph and Jokic. I think that would be incredible. So yeah, I enjoyed that pick. I think you're still trailing against me so far, but that was when I give you a slight clap on that one. But my next pick, and I'll go ahead and just keep it in order, who I have number 7 on my power rankings right here. A guy who we might not be seeing for the next couple of games, but I love watching him play last night. De'Aaron Fox, I got as my point guard, a dude who might be the fastest person in the league with the ball in his hands, incredible in transition, gets to the rim, hits big shots in the fourth quarter, the reigning clutch player of the year. I don't even know what we call it. I guess the clutch award, whatever. But yeah, he's got that trophy. Right? Yeah, that one. He's got that trophy. So yeah, and then we can get the Steph versus Fox beam beef going with the 2 squads. So yeah, I'm loving this pick. I think Fox fits kind of what we need. We probably need a big body at some point.
You might at some point. I got bad news for you. Uh-oh. Sorry, Will. De'Aaron Fox, I mean, you mentioned the speed, but shouldn't the Kings, Vivek Ranadive, he's known for having some wacky basketball ideas. They should petition the league to make all 4 quarters fourth quarters, because De'Aaron Fox would maybe score 60 points a game. I mean, this guy, for some reason, and maybe it's just he can sustain his speed for 4 quarters and other people can't. And so once it gets to be fourth quarter and other guys are huffing and puffing, he's still going 90 miles an hour. I mean, maybe that's the big advantage that he's got, kind of like Russ used to have back in the day. Russ was another guy, fourth quarter performer, impeccable condition. His 3-point shooting has just come around, and I always knew it would because the jumper looked too good. It's not just that he was a lefty. There was nothing out of place with it. There was no fat, just smooth. And remember, they were worried about his shooting coming in. Between his ability to get to the basket and the fact that just, again, lights out in the fourth quarter. Now I'm a little nervous. Now I'm a little nervous.
Yeah. And you mentioned that it's not just the speed he brings in the fourth quarter. He is super confident with that jumper against the Warriors. Last night, he sent them to overtime just by hitting big jumpers over and over again in the fourth quarter. And that's what makes him so dangerous, because you take away one thing, he kills you with the other. And he's just so confident in those situations. And I think that guy's plays so hard. He's a leader. Every time you want to doubt the Kings, you just watch that dude play, and it's like, man, you have him as the head of the snake. That makes them so tough to deal with, especially because it feels like the Kings are always playing in close games, and he's hitting big shots. So yeah, I'm loving having Mr. Clutch on my squad. So the pick is back to you, sir.
Well, sorry, man, but you're screwed, because I'm taking Anthony Davis. The guy is one of the better defenders in the league. He's huge. I have 96 minutes to fill between the 4 and the 5, and 3 all NBA level players to do it with. And by the way, I'm not scared to play all 3 of my bigs at the same time here and there. When I need a rebound, when I need a stop, oh yeah, I'm gonna play all 3 of them with Paul George and his 6'9" playing the 2 guard out there. I mean, we're just going to be giants. Will, you're going to get crushed. I'm sorry.
Listen, nobody's happier about your team construction than Anthony Davis, because he can finally live his dream of playing the 3 and not have to guard anybody in the post. So he's loving the way we've allowed this draft to play out, because he can do exactly what he wants. I mean, yeah, AD is great. I'm glad you got some people who can score in the second half on your team, because I don't know if AD is going to contribute in that area.
All right, he'll play the first 24 and sit the rest of the game. He can just stay in after halftime. We got this.
Yeah, you just pour it out all in the first half and let Embiid and Jokic handle it from there. But nah, I mean, yeah, that's a lot of big men over there. I can't lie. It's pretty dangerous.
Do you want to know the real strategy here, though, is it doesn't matter who the next guy is. It doesn't, like, even if like AD was my 6th man, it wouldn't matter who the 2 guard is playing next to Steph, PG, Joel and Nikola Jokic. Like, it doesn't matter. Any of these guys, they're going to shoot 45% from 3. So, like, let me just take Anthony Davis away from you.
Exactly. I mean, he's just going to get wide open shots the whole game playing with Jokic and Steph.
Maybe on this team, he lives up to Darvin Ham's sort of preseason challenge, and he does shoot 6 threes a game. He's going to be wide open. Now, listen, partially because he can't make them.
Yeah, it might be 6 terrible shots a game, but he can take 6 threes a game if he wants.
That's all right. You know why? Because we got excellent interior rebounding. We are going to own the glass.
Rebounders down there. A lot of guys getting tip-ins down there for sure. I'll give you that. But I see, I'm going away from team construction here, because I just want to use my next pick just to put some respect on a guy's name.
You get into it. It's Hooper. It's Hooper time now.
Oh, it's Hooper time. And the only guy on this list, I checked to make sure he did start 1 game this year, but his first game, he did not come out. He did not come in as a starter, came off the bench and dropped 30 points. Shout out to my man, Cam Thomas, the guy who does not belong on this list.
No, he's the GOAT.
He is on this list, and I'm respecting his mind. A true bucket getter, a guy who does not have an X button on his controller. He does not believe in passing the ball. He's just out there to put the ball in the hoop. And I respect his mind. He's from LSU as well, so I got to shout out to the boot. It's only right I get Cam Thomas. I don't know what position he's going to play. My stars on this team will probably hate him because they won't give them the ball, but it's fine. I just want to put respect on Cam Thomas's name.
Cam is a hooper, man. I think ultimately, when you can score like that, it's impossible to not play. Like, you cannot keep him on the bench if you're coaching a guy, especially on a team like Brooklyn. It's not like they've got a ton of scorers. Nick Claxton's, kind of not out there, so you don't have a rim runner. Obviously, Mikal Bridges has been an improved scorer there, but that's about it. It's him and Cam Thomas. So I'm here for the Cam Thomas show. And isn't he a little small for a team that doesn't have a lot of size? Like, I thought you were going to go with Zach LaVine. It's like, okay, he's 6'4", 6'5". At least I can switch on defense if KD is my center or whoever's going to play center for you. But I was thinking switchability. What's this guy going for? But Cam Thomas is what, 6 feet?
Yeah, listen, we lost the size battle a long time ago. I mean, you got 3 centers over there. So I think we're just going to go all in the other direction. We just want fast guys, guards. We'll let KD play the 5. I don't know. We don't have to worry about getting any rebounds at all because we're just gonna make all our shots. So
Make
that's
all the
fine.
shots.
That's fine. We don't have to worry about rebounds at that point. Listen, I think Jokic will get every offensive rebound against this squad, and if he doesn't, Embiid will get the rest. But listen, like I said, we're gonna make all our shots, so it's fine.
That's it.
Luka's gonna create good looks. We're good to go over here.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned speed because with the 11th pick, I can't believe I'm in this position. I'm taking Tyrese Maxey. I want some extra speed. I think he's got star player upside. I mean, I've believed in him as being the best shooter from his draft class since he was drafted, and now like we're starting to see it. This guy can really score. Again, I've got a ton of offense already. Imagine the open looks he's going to have on this team. He's already got the partnership there with Joel Embiid, so we have some built-in chemistry. And I mean, personally, I just think Tyrese Maxey is the best option that the Sixers have right now at guard. So I definitely want him. I mean, the fact that he's averaging over 25 points a game with James Harden not in the picture does not surprise me at all. The guy just needs an opportunity. And so, yeah, that's my last pick. I need some speed. And what's he going to, 44% on wide open threes the whole game? You're cooked.
I actually wrote it down. He's 14 for 25 on 3-pointers this year, which is like out of this world. That's like beyond Steph Curry type stuff right there. But yeah, this is where the downfall of something we joked about before the pod that I have handwritten notes here. And this is where the handwritten notes go against you because I made a mistake and scratched out Maxey earlier because I really wanted Maxey on my squad. I'm angry that I allowed you to get him because I love me some Tyrese Maxey. I think he is such a great fit on that team with Embiid. I kind of wish Harden would stay away a little bit longer just so Maxey can just have the reins to do what he's been doing through the first couple games this season. He's been outstanding, just efficient in everything he's doing, making 3-pointers, getting to his spots. I love the growth that he's shown. That's a guy who wasn't a top 10 pick coming into this league. I don't think anybody saw him becoming this, and the fact that Philly hit on him. I think he was maybe like 21, 19, somewhere around there in the draft. Having a guy like that come in and contribute next to Joel Embiid, I think is huge. And I think regardless of what happens with Harden, I think he's got a really good shot at making the All-Star team this year. So yeah, I love me some Tyrese Maxey, and I think
if Maxey had gone somewhere that wasn't Kentucky, we would feel differently because guards are held back there. We don't get to see. I mean, think about Devin Booker. We didn't know how good of a pick and roll guy he was. I mean, even bigs, Karl Anthony Towns. Did you know he could shoot to the point where he could theoretically be the greatest shooting big man of his generation? I mean, this is a little bit of what happened to Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was the same thing with AD. He was very limited offensively at Kentucky as well. So I think with him, man, going back to Maxey, I think it's going to be very interesting to see just his growth this year and how much they're going to be able to lean on him because we know who the top two teams are in the East. You got to get through Milwaukee or Boston if you want to get to the promised land. And it's just such a high mountain to climb beating those two teams. But Maxey is the type of dude I think who can give those teams problems just with his speed and shot making ability. So yeah, I love me some Tyrese Maxey. And I guess, with the last pick, the guy who I have last on my list is Zach LaVine. Because I just wrote down, if you score 50 and lose by 16 to the Detroit Pistons, you deserve to be last on the list. No disrespect to Zach LaVine, but Chicago is a disaster zone right now. And as much as Zach LaVine is trying to help it, it's bad out there. I mean, you got a players only meeting after game 1.
That's incredible.
You lose by 16 to the Detroit Pistons. As much as they're like looking more frisky with Cade Cunningham, they shouldn't be blowing people out like this, especially when you got Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. So yeah, it's
not an adult basketball team, man. Like
it's just man. It's crazy.
Zach LaVine is just ill-suited for the role he's in. In Chicago. Imagine if the Warriors had put him in the Wiggins role, right? If he could come be the third, fourth guy, put up 18 to 20 a game, play a little bit of defense, but not a lot. I mean, I'm not saying Wiggins, because Wiggins is a lockdown, but for Zach LaVine, a team that had good defense, needed some extra scoring, theoretically, like if Damian Lillard doesn't wind up in Milwaukee and somehow Zach LaVine is in Milwaukee, a situation where some of that pressure can be taken off. I mean, it feels like this is the beginning of the end of this iteration of the Bulls. I mean, where's Zach LaVine going to go? Like we haven't started the
Orlando.
Free Zach LaVine. But Orlando, I know Sam's Orlando Magic, like he could be really good there. So it feels like he's being punished a little bit for being a good player on a bad team. But I just think like he's ill-fitted for the role. We got to free Zach LaVine.
Yeah, and I mean, inspired by the Bulls, I think due to Dave's internet situation, we might have a podcasters only meeting after this one to hash out some of our issues. But you want to talk about ill-fitting? We're asking LaVine to come in and probably play some minutes against Joel Embiid because of the construction of our squad. So if you thought it was bad for him in Chicago, it might be really bad with my squad. But I think, but I'm with you, man. I want to see Zach LaVine freed from Chicago. I want to see him where it's not so much pressure on him to score every night, because we a lot of people did write him off a little bit after the knee issues he dealt with a couple years ago, and I think he's bounced back really well. I think he looked really good towards the latter half of last season. He's dropping 50 early this season, so he's obviously feeling good, but the vibes are poor in Chicago, and I think it's going to continue to be that way until
if he's got to guard Joel Embiid, they're going to be poor wherever this team is located that you drafted, because he's going to get cooked. Yeah, absolutely cooked.
We got a great medical squad. We got a hot tub ready for all the guys after the game. Some ice for the knees. So
we have a ray gun just in case things get out of hand. Yeah, man. At some point, for real, I really want to, and I guess it's going to have to be 2K, but I really want to get like an updated version of 2K. And I want to sim these drafts. We've been doing these drafts. This is what, the third or fourth one. And I don't know, man. I'm kind of killing these drafts. And I want to see like how dominant my teams would be.
Listen, just don't sleep on Cam Thomas's impact, because my little
Cam Thomas, 2K, small ball
and they go crazy with Cam Thomas on 2K.
I gotta say, after just to wrap this up, after seeing both of your guys' squads, I thought Dave had it in the bag after his first 2 picks. But now, I think Will wins because he takes UCLA legend, Zach LaVine. UCLA legend, Zach LaVine.
Listen, they doubted us. Dave
could have taken Zach LaVine with his 3rd through 6th pick, anywhere between there, and he would have won the draft. But I think he just automatically threw that.
Like draft. I said, I wasn't taking him. I wasn't taking him one.
Hey, I took 12. Palmdale legend Paul George.
No. Paul George is a fake Palmdale guy because he roots for the Padres, which doesn't make sense because he's like
Palmdale. To be fair, I didn't know this until not too long ago, maybe last year. Palmdale is really far from LA.
It is.
Like it is far.
It is way closer to LA than San Diego, which I guess that's all I gotta say.
Was he getting Padres games on TV as a kid? Is that what was happening?
No. It's a recent thing. He said he became a fan because like they treated him well. And I'm just what?
Hey.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the Clippers guys get booed at the Dodgers games all the time, so I can understand.
That's true.
Not wanting to be.
That is true.
Fan.
Go be an Angels fan, man. Don't be a Padres fan. What are we doing?
But they probably get booed at the Angels games.
I mean, honestly, nobody's at the Angels game, so it's just silence when they put them on the big screen at the Angels game. So,
yeah, the San Diego thing makes a lot more sense. I don't know, man. I'm kind of with Paul George on this one.